What is going on, everyone? Matt and JT here for episode
Six.
6. What's going on, Layla? Layla's in the audience.
Hello.
That's my niece. How you doing? Oh, wait, I probably shouldn't. Yeah. Good to see you. So today we are going to talk about Neocaridina. Shrimps. Little baby shrimps. Well, not babies. Actually, it could be about babies. And let me give you a little bit of a backstory. So these shrimp are awesome. They are absolutely amazing. I love them. I love taking care of them. They clean, they filter feed. I started getting them a few years ago, and since then I've set them up in so many different tanks throughout. We have over a dozen tanks with them. They were breeding and reproducing. I literally, the point where I was taking hundreds out of one tank at a time and moving them to other tanks. And then all of a sudden, about 6 months ago, I'd say, I started noticing fewer and fewer. And anyone out, Mandy, if you hear us or can't hear us, let us know. So glad you're in the audience. Mandy did an awesome video earlier today, by the way, that we're going to be publishing hopefully tomorrow on food, the diets of these little guys. And I'm part of trying to figure out where they're going, because where we used to have so many of them, I mean, this is an older video right now, and I'll kind of go through a little bit of a time lapse. You can see. All right, let me fix that light thing. One sec. I'm going to fix some lighting. Do you want to go over some of the stuff we're going to talk about while I'm doing that?
Yeah, so some of the important things to look into when we're trying to figure out aquarium problems. We're going to look at the water chemistry, mainly the nitrate, nitrite, and ammonia levels. We're going to also look at the pH, the hardness, which is sort of like a buffering capacity of the water. And we're going to see if any of that is outside of the range that the shrimp would prefer. Usually they're pretty easy as long as the water doesn't change too rapidly. They can adjust to pretty wide range of pH and nitrate. Temperature can be a pretty wide range as well, and you have that pretty consistent all the time.
Sorry,
yes, a swimming. Woo.
Sorry, JT was actually informing you of stuff that's of value. But yeah.
Yeah, so do you know the temperature range that you're usually within?
So the thing that's been perplexing me, right, is temp ranges, right? They really Mandy actually made an awesome chart for us. She's like, maybe you check off some of these things. Let me show you what she did, which thank you, Mandy. You're the best. So if we're going to talk about these, right, you can talk about some of the water parameters, right, like pH, temp, cleanliness. So let's talk pH, right? I definitely have made mistakes around pH before. So they really like it around 6.5 to 7.5. I try to keep it slightly alkaline, so around 7.2 seems to be really good. If it goes below 6, they're made of calcium, so they start melting basically. Is that fair? Fair statement?
Yeah, it's hard for their exoskeletons to be able to deal with that, especially if it changes rapidly.
Yep.
If it goes really acidic really quick, they don't have time to adjust to that, so they just melt kind of.
Yeah, and so I do have a hunch that one of the tanks so I brought water in from 2 tanks at our home. One with Blue Dream that are really prolific in it, and then another one I moved some shrimp in and they immediately have disappeared. I have a hunch that tank tends to get acidic. It was great for discus, but the plants don't look like it's so acidic that would be killing off Neocaridina. But that being said, the water is crystal clear, and I think we'll get to it later what my actual hunch of what's going on is. The next thing, temp. So they're really interesting, right? With temps, people tell you to keep them around 70 to 75. If you start going to higher temps, their life cycle gets faster, meaning they reproduce quicker but then die quicker, and they only live about a year to a year and a half, which was interesting. I didn't realize that. So so the temps are all within a healthy range. There's no one who's too cold or too hot. I've checked that off. Now, cleanliness and contaminants. This is the part that's perplexing me because the tanks that have done the best for us are filthy. Like, we'll take you over. Maybe I'll take you for a tour quickly of some of this stuff, or should we wait off? But I'll show you in a moment. The dirtiest tanks, as long as there's good airflow, I was shocked. We have this one tank that was really good for our crayfish, and some shrimp had apparently got in there. I was scooping out like a couple hundred at a time. It was the most successful breeding shrimp tank I've ever had, and you couldn't even see through the walls, but there was so much debris and whatnot clinging to the walls they were just eating off of. They were reproducing like mad. So cleanliness, I think, is almost more complicated. Yeah.
So that's a lot of particulates and not necessarily like a dissolved contaminant. So that could just be food rather than a chemical contaminant, which would be like too high nitrate, nitrite, ammonia. Especially because there's like duckweed in there.
So RRO systems, right? So when we do water changes, we have a water purifier. And one of my discus is really sensitive, I think. I don't know what the contaminant is, to your point, right? And I did a water change and started seeing them go haywire. And then added safer, which binds up heavy metals in chlorine and chloramine. And within an hour, he was doing great. Maybe there's some sort of contaminant that's not getting pulled out of the water that's going in. We don't do big water changes on any of these shrimp tanks, though. And where, all right, we should look at that. We're going to do a full, so we'll keep going, right? But let me get, my head is in the way and I don't know which way to move sometimes. Here, wait, what if we do, I think we could probably put this even. Wait, let me see something. Sorry, guys. Yeah, you know what? I just messed stuff up. Sorry. All right, I'll just get you out of the way. Is that good? Come to your way? Yeah, I'll come to your way. Wait, we can both sit over here, right? I've never been on this side before. So, food. I did get a new batch of food. It seems like there is some changes around that. I'm wondering, I actually think food is the reason. I think it's not that the food is the problem, it's a lack of food. And I think it's in response to the next few, which are plants, not predators. So I think I had a question. I noticed there's like grass everywhere, but then I was looking at some old footage and I was like, all right, there's plenty of grass. And so I'm thinking we go through this, create a hypothesis. Does this make sense? And then look at some of the old footage, walk around here to see what we see, and then do some water testing as a plan of action.
That sounds good to me.
Anyone in the audience, if anything sounds better, let us know. So the predators, there's nothing in there that's eating them. And interestingly enough, just today I saw one bright red Neocaridina in the discus tank, and they will definitely eat them. But I'm sure there's more in there, and I was really surprised actually to see any in there. I don't know, and there's others. Competition is where I think there's a lack of food, particularly for the youngsters, which eat a lot of biofilm. And I think that there's more bristlenose and more snails, and also there's duckweed on the top. So when we talk about plants, I'll include duckweed. And I think all said and done, that's basically reducing the amount of food available to the shrimp, particularly the young ones, which is why I see some adults hanging around, but not young ones. Disease, it definitely could be disease, but the thing that's throwing me off about disease is, we'll go back to our original spots. That was just awkward, wasn't it?
Yeah,
That was weird.
Yeah.
But I will move my head. Disease, I feel like we'd be seeing, if it was disease, I feel like we'd be seeing some dead shrimp. It's funny, actually, when they die, if you see when they turn pink, like the shrimp at the restaurant. So I've come in and been like, oh no, something happened to my shrimp, and it looks like I took them out and cooked them and ate them. And I actually asked ChatGPT if you could eat them, and it kind of gave me a response like it was disgusted by the even suggestion of it. So
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know why we but yeah, I'm not eating them. They're just throw it out there. So anyways, I think should we look through some old video?
Yeah, let's look at what they used to look like when they were doing well.
Okay, cool. So let's get this. I made a little slideshow. I'm going to start. So this was, let's see. So this is October of 2022. So this is when I first got these guys. You guys can kind of see. And I start off with 100 cherry shrimp, and this was the setup, nice and clean.
Oh, the biochar.
Yeah, me and JT set this up. JT and I. So you can see not many shrimp at this point, right? Let's go to the next one. And this was almost a year later, July 2023. So is that more than a year? So, okay, so about 8 months later, and you can see this is them feeding away. Definitely, you can see some of the wild. So those ones were definitely hatched here. That wild caught the brown ones.
Those ones got eggs on them.
Yeah, that's another thing. I started looking at old footage and started seeing a ton of very buried. So how big can they get? They're so little, Sarah. That's a great question. These things are amazing, by the way. They are like the coolest, and they come in every color under the sun.
Yeah, the Skittles.
They're tiny. They're like the size of your fingernail. So this is so zoomed in right now. Let me see. There might be some better video in here, but these are the littlest, prettiest little shrimp, and they like you'll see them in every color in the rainbow, which is cool. All right, so again, more July.
So for reference, that like green wafer here is maybe this big, maybe the size of a dime, or
Yeah, right? Like
a little bit bigger than a dime, maybe.
if that, yeah, totally. All right, so that's a little more. Let's see. This is moving a month after that. Oh, sorry. Let's see. You can see like one thing Mandy noted. We were looking through this footage earlier. So looking through this. Oh, isn't that the coolest one? Sorry, I'll get my head out of the way. Some really, I'm so bummed because there were so many cool new color morphs I was seeing popping up that were being born. Mandy noticed this, right? Look at the turbidity of the water.
Yeah.
And she was looking at some really cool video that she found us earlier of wild ones, and I was really surprised. Yep, there we go. Mandy was mentioning they go 1 to 1.5 inches, and they were catching them in the hill and mountains of Taiwan, I believe, and they were in tiny little shallow pools of water and fast moving streams, like think about like a stream with very shallow water. And so I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, this actually does, like they do seem to like tons of oxygenation, but also debris and whatnot. So it's like oxygen and muck is what I'm almost thinking. But then I see people. All right, let's go to the next one. Of course you're not gonna. Why? Okay. So this, same thing, same time of year. Again, like tons of turbidity. Look how pretty these guys are. I was really excited. Like that one, beautiful. And you can see just a huge diversity of colors. And it's funny, a lot of people will tell you like don't put like different colors together because then you get the wilds. But I think the wild colors, the brown ones, are really pretty too in their own, and then you are always surprised to see what shows up. So I love having them like this. But you can see there's a lot of density, and they're just everywhere. So let's keep going. This was, again, August, September, just so much. September of 2023. Let's keep moving. Let's try to get a little further. Okay, so this is February of this year, March. Let's take a peek at this guy. I think this was really the peak to me, right? Like this was last March. I was just shrimp were overflowing. It was insane. And now it's one interesting thing to note is we're going to bring you to the tank where this was shot in a little bit, and you'll notice there's like you can't even see this wood anymore. So for a while I was telling myself they were just hiding, but I think I know that that's not true. But I'm sure there are a lot hiding because I will say I do seem to see like a lot of growth in there. JT, you see anything interesting?
don't see any blue ones. That just might be a coincidence.
Yeah.
I noticed there's just like a lot of little bits of stuff splashing around in there.
Yeah. Right?
Very green. A lot less like plants than there is now.
And the duckweed, you know, I've worked hard to like prevent the duckweed from doing what it's doing in this. And you know, being tossed around like that, but maybe that was good. Maybe it was getting caught up and then being consumed by them. One thing I started doing is basically pulling the duckweed, and this is actually a video that's worth checking out because so if you start seeing your shrimp congregate like at its surface like this, it's because there's an oxygen issue, and so our pumps had turned off, especially with duckweed. If your air pumps go off and the duckweed's just coating the surface, it seems like oxygen becomes depleted really quickly.
Because the respiration's going out at the surface, so it's going into the air rather than into the water where the other plants are under the water producing oxygen in the water.
I am thinking more and more like the duckweed is a problem because me even skimming off of it is preventing biofilm. And the other thing I noticed, right, I never scrape the surfaces of any of my fish tanks for algae.
Yeah.
Which means there's no algae to be had on the surfaces. And in most fish tanks, there's algae cover, but I have so many things eating that I think there isn't enough for the shrimp anymore. So
I have a culture of aquatic algae.
ooh. All right, with you?
Not with me.
Wouldn't have surprised me, to be honest.
I usually keep it in a 500 or a 5,000 milliliter Erlenmeyer flask.
Okay, cool. That's cool. I was hoping you'd say I usually keep extra algae
In my
cultures
pockets.
in my car, but
Too cold right now.
it's too cold right now. The algae heater in my car is broken, so I leave it at home.
Yeah. Algae's cool.
It is really cool. I mean, look at that. Speaking of algae, right? Like, so this is.
When was this one?
This was April 2024. So, wow, that's almost 10 months ago. And nice and thick. They're everywhere.
So, what kind of plant is that they're all on?
That's just like algae covering Oh, that's a really good point. So I started noticing the ones with the shrimp do a great job at eating like blackbeard algae and whatnot. And I don't know what that algae is. I don't think it's blackbeard, but it tends to grow. It's not very green. It's like this brownish. I don't know if it's dying. I'm not sure.
Because
anyone out there now?
In the older videos, it was all bright green.
Yep.
And then this video, it's all grayish.
I know, and here's the thing, right? Like, if you look around in these tanks and try to figure out where, what's going, I'm perplexed. Usually, if you're doing something wrong, you know, or maybe you don't. Okay, so I guess this is May. So this is like the most recent video I have. You can see just overflowing with shrimp.
Lots of grass.
Lots of grass.
Lots of that algae.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Tons of shrimp. Shrimp for days. So where did they go? Back to, you know, I think next step we should go, let's look at this, right? Let's just make sure. I don't want to do, I don't think we want to check all the water here. Let's check out, I was thinking about that, right? Does this make sense to just focus on that one primary tank, maybe get some water samples?
Yeah.
But I will take you guys, let's take a quick walk around maybe, and we'll show you guys some of the stuff and all the tanks in here and what we're kind of seeing. And I am going to take this with us. So, do you mind taking, let me turn this monitor real quick, just so we can see what we're up to. Okay, so this was, I'm going to bring you guys first. Let me make sure the microphone is set right.
Is it? Looks like it's the Logitech cam microphone.
Yeah, let's switch that over.
Does it pick me up now?
Yep. Cool.
Test, test, test. Test, test.
Not very loud.
Huh.
Alright, well. We'll speak loud.
Yeah.
Oh, it's probably because you're behind. Let me try.
In front
Does
of
this
it.
sound good?
Oh, yeah.
You guys hear me? All right, cool. So let's take you guys in and just show you.
Now, we just turned off the air bubblers because they make a lot of noise, so that's why there's not a lot of bubbling
But
going
you
on.
can see there are not shrimp everywhere. You'll see some shrimp. I see one tucked back there. I don't know if you can see him. And there's a shrimp. There's a shrimp. So there's a good number still. But I don't see many little ones, and I don't see a ton like I used to. Now, maybe you can also see there's just tons more places to hide in here, right? But nonetheless, I feel like there are not nearly the number of shrimp we used to have. This tank, same thing. I'm seeing a decline. Now, look, you can see there's a beautiful red guy right there. I think you guys can see that one, right? And let's see, there's a bunch over here. But there's not nearly as many as there used to be. Now, there is one tank I think we should check. And I'm curious to see.
The Thunderdome?
Yes. This guy. Now this one right here, I used to put a net in actually. Should we go get a pitcher maybe to put water in?
Yeah.
And so if I had grabbed, a scoop in here. All right. So this filthy, filthy tank is filled with crawfish, and I can't even tell you how many shrimp I've caught out of here. It's been. And so the question is, what is this like now? Or is this population declining? Because if this one's declining, it makes me feel like maybe there is some sort of disease that's killing them. All right, hold this for just 1 second. All right, so let's grab some water from here. Okay. I'm going to try to scoop. Okay, I did get a couple. Oh, okay, this is, oh, heck yes. Whoa. Sorry. You guys can't even see this, but maybe you can. This is awesome. Look how many little shrimp there are. There's tons of babies too. Like, we'll bring this back over here. Hold this for 1 second. Or are those scud? I think those are shrimp and scud. All right, let's see what happens when we scoop though. So I used to run the net around in here, and if I did this for a moment, I can't even tell you how many shrimp I would pull out. And okay, maybe it's still pretty solid in there. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, tons of shrimp. Let's go look at this. Do we need a better glass container?
I'll grab a jar if you want to bring it over there.
Cool, yeah.
Whoa, look at the size of that snail.
Sick. All right.
That is the biggest snail shell.
Let's.
What kind of snail is
yes.
that?
All right, yeah. Do you want to bring this over and I'll grab? That is a huge snail. Okay, so this is awesome, guys. They're doing good here, and you see how filthy this tank is, right? And this is where, like, I see these Neocaridina, and people with these like pristine fish tanks, and yet this is where mine seem to do well. Filthy water with oxygenation.
How's this?
That's great. Yeah. All right. So maybe you want to try pouring that guy out.
Yeah.
This guy. Look at this. Shrimp for days.
I'll try not to.
Oh yeah, they're still all in there. Oh, there's still a bunch in. Uh-oh. Okay. What's going on now?
Whoa.
Oh boy. Okay, so something's up with our stream. All right, I think we're back up. Can you guys see us? I hope you can. I'm sorry about that. So anyways, something got very upset because my computer's old. Let's show you guys, though. I hope you got some of that. But look how many shrimp are in here. This is nutso.
I could watch that all day.
Yep.
Yeah, they're all different sizes. There's a lot of scuds too, but it looks like this one looks buried. The orange one over here.
Oh, and sweet. My
Oh, that's a good shot.
wow.
It also looks like they're dancing. I always want to play some like funky music or something when you watch them.
Yeah, right?
They have so many feet to dance with.
They really do. Look at that guy.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Oh, that one's cool looking.
That was cool looking.
The curly ones are scuds.
Yes, yes. So there are many things in here. And all right, so I mean, look at this though. So there goes. So this really okay. So let's talk, right? What is this water dirty? Or I mean, yes, right? Look at this.
You saw the tank.
It's not crystal clear. And this really makes me think,
There's a baby one.
oh my gosh, there's so many in here.
This is a good shot of the tops of our heads.
So what do we do, JT? And why is this now not working properly? Oh, this got pushed further.
So the water's got a ton. Well, also
There we go.
there's a lot more particulate matter in this tank than there is in the other one.
Okay.
I noticed that there's after you got a lot more plant matter, it seems like the population came down in that tank.
It's so. I think you're right, man. And I'm seeing that if we switch over.
And did you notice the different snails that are in there now that weren't in there in the previous videos?
No. Talk to me. Let's go look again.
Yeah. So the previous videos, there's those orange snails,
Okay.
and there's a lot of them.
Quick, I'm gonna redo this.
Yeah. There's a bunch of them, but not quite as many as. If you look at the algae here, see all of those little tiny snails that are. They're like the long.
I haven't seen those guys come up
ones.
way more often.
There's so many of them, and they're all mixed into that grass.
I think, and to your point, right? Like, why? Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, ready? So check out the Cletus dome, as we call it. Right. This is where all the crayfish are. Now the crayfish. To your point, look at them in there, right? Living in this filthy habitat, right? They rip up. Check this out. They rip up plants. I can't.
Because they want to be in the dirt eating stuff off the ground.
But they're killing all the plants, which is making an ecosystem that works great for the shrimp too. And so I guess when I was like, I thought tons of plants was what I wanted.
You want algae.
But I want algae, not plants.
Look how thick this algae is.
But no plants are growing in here. No plants will grow in here. It's just algae for days. Wow. So I need to kill all those plants. So planted tanks are not good for neocard. And dude, to your point, right? Oh my gosh, yes. like it's overplanted.
And these guys are probably competing with them for some of the food. They're not eating this grass, they're just eating off of it. There's hardly anything floating around in the water.
It's crystal clear.
Look out how they're like trying to find stuff to grab onto to eat. I think they might just not have enough food because of all of the plant matter. Also, they can't really get to the ground to eat out of the dirt like they were before because it's all like covered with the whatever this green algae type stuff is, and all the roots are like packed in. And look at how many snails there are. Those little snails love it.
Yes. And Mandy was telling me earlier that basically the older ones can eat a broader range of foods, but the young ones really need biofilm. Which, by the way, you probably know everything about biofilm. Do you know, like, basically biofilm is it's almost like a symbiotic situation between a bunch of microorganisms, and they produce like a slime to basically live together with.
Yeah, and they all like sort of it sort of protects them and is a ecosystem for them to eat in.
Insane, of course you knew this. Okay, so
But that makes it difficult so that they can produce a biofilm in water and I think inside bodies too, which makes it difficult to treat the water for it because they're protected from like antibiotics if you add it to the water.
wow. Okay, so other tanks. Let's look at some other tanks if we can. This was the original, but I'll show you some other ones that are. This one is doing phenomenally well, beyond my comprehension. This one, it was too acidic for a bit, but now it's starting to pick up. I'm starting to see some shrimp in here. I saw a few earlier. There's one. There's a big guy. They're doing okay in here. Not great. Again, crystal clear walls, no algae building up. This one was doing pretty well. I don't know if you can even see in here. Lights are off. Sorry from the other light, but this is one. So this was one where I was like, this is proof that light alone, like or heavy amounts of light, aren't critical because I just literally had this 10-gallon tank with air filtration, and there's a good number of shrimp in here. Although this one as well, I started seeing a decline. Is me like succeeding at plant growth leading to a decline in shrimp?
Yeah, because I wonder if they're used to having the like fine algae that they can eat out of the water, like filter feed.
Yep.
But if there's too many plants, then you can't keep the algae up enough for them to eat.
It blew my mind. I saw one in this discus tank earlier, by the way. Oh, sorry guys, I scared these guys. But I saw one earlier today in here, a cherry red, nonetheless, which really surprised me.
Because it stands out like this sort of thing, basically.
Yeah, and I'm like, I am shocked that discus had not eaten you guys yet. All right, I'll show you another one that's been a surprise. So I started moving a bunch into here. Now, I don't know how they're doing because this wasn't too long, but I've just let this go wild. This is just one air stone in it. I see some shrimp in here. There's one. I'm not seeing little guys, though, in here. I'm not seeing the babies, and I don't know whether to expect to see them. Again, there's one right down there. Actually looks really inactive. Check this guy. You see that guy right there? Is he even alive? Is he doing all right?
He's not really moving at all.
I don't see any movement on him.
Moving his legs a little bit. He's not like eating anything.
Not active. There's another one. This might be so much plant matter. Could the oxygen? I do have a dissolved oxygen meter.
Oh, you want to test it?
Do you think that could be an issue? Is there so much plant matter it's causing an issue?
If the plants are breaking down too much, and there's a ton of snails too, so they could be hogging up all the oxygen, as well as the breakdown of the algae or dead plants.
And now the next tank I want to bring you guys to, like to be totally honest, I was surprised to even see shrimp in here.
Hey, what's that called when there's like an algae eats all the oxygen because of its
Algal bloom?
yeah, and why is
Red
it?
tide?
Well, there's harmful algal blooms because,
I think they overproliferate, then die,
and then that
and
uses
that
up
breaks
all the
down and just
oxygen,
uses up all the death of them. It's like an implosion.
and that
right?
kills everything in the water.
Yeah. So I am worried about that a little, but and there's one last one. Now this one has surprised me because all of a sudden I started seeing shrimp in here. Now this has not had many shrimp. I didn't think there were any shrimp in here, to be honest, but I saw like 5 yesterday in here. I was looking around. I don't know if you can see in here very well. I'm not seeing them, but you can see this tank doesn't look. I wouldn't have expected it. There's a lot of snails. Oh, there's one right there. It's cool looking. There's one. I'm not seeing babies though. And again, no algae on the wall. So if we were to really look, and I brought a water sample in, by the way, from the 2 tanks in my home where there is and there is not a ton of shrimp. And you can tell, and maybe we can do some samples. But I don't know if you guys can tell by looking at this, but this one has tons of blue dream in it, and this one is the one where they don't seem to survive, or I don't see many. They're definitely not reproducing. You can see how much cloudier this one is. It's green, cloudy water. It's a much dirtier looking tank. One thing that surprised me about these guys is, should I flip this back and we can kind of do some water testing now?
Yeah.
One thing that has surprised me is that you hear about like people saying low nitrates and whatnot, but yet I have pushed the nitrates on these things. Like I have seen such dirty water. I have never overfed them. Like I've poured huge chunks of food in, and it seems like a week later they're bleeding like crazy. So it's almost like maybe the nitrates are high. Maybe it's just like the super hyperactive ecology where they are. Oh, okay, cool. Oh, cool. We're getting some good questions. Okay. What's up, Jeff? I hope Jeff's feeling all right. We miss you tonight, bud. I will 100% dance with shrimp before the night's over. Don't worry. I will do that for you, Jeff. And little Jeff. I don't know where he is. Oh, okay. Yeah, we're going to catch up on a couple questions right now for you guys. Are they sexually dimorphic, or can you only determine sex when the female has eggs? Oh my gosh, they totally are.
Yep.
The girls, do you know how to sex them?
I read about it briefly.
I don't, so I'm just kidding.
The males, I believe, are lighter in color and have a different shape to their like abdomen area.
Yes, and one interesting thing I've heard a couple times is about the females. I've never Neocaridina. The females are bigger and more beautiful. So lots of people will kill out all of the males. And let's see, this is a good one. Let's see this. Watching another YouTube video on a YouTube video. Okay, I was just hoping this was just an image.
Can you preview the image?
Okay, let's see. Okay, nope. Anyone? The shrimp farm. Thank you guys. The males are definitely a lot smaller. I've kind of just seen that slender look. Like, see this male right here? Sorry, I gotta figure out my stuff. Definitely like smaller, less colorful, like that guy. And the big, fat, colorful ones are the girls. And if you see eggs on them, then you know what you got. So yeah. Anything else on that?
That's what I've basically heard before.
Yep.
The saddle, what it says up here, you can see the eggs inside the body before they're fertilized. So if you look down on it, you'll see eggs inside of their body before they're laid.
I actually check this out. it? Come on.
Eutrophication, that is the word for when the algae blooms and then dies and uses up all the oxygen.
So I'm trying to find this one video I have. Let's see if we do thumbnails. If you want to see, I can show you a picture or a video with a pregnant female. Where is it? Really should have this prepped, huh? Manny, you remember? Oh, grab it. I'm proud of myself. Look at me. I labeled it grab it. Okay, let's move this one to there.
Oh, wow.
So you can see. Look at that. Look at those eggs. You can see them so clear, which is cool.
It's crazy that the eggs are a different color. Probably like the babies are going to be orange or something.
Ah, that's a good question. Anyone know anything about that? Isn't that neat, though? It's really cool. You can see, oh, this guy. Totally
You
just
can see their
photobombed.
like, eyes.
Yep, yeah. That's crazy. Ah, the good old days when I had baby shrimp coming left and right. Although, this secret, look at this thing. It's a lot of baby shrimp. All right, so if we're looking at this chart, let's get back to this. Ready? Let's check the pH. We'll check all the water first and foremost to make sure it isn't a water issue, right? So I think we just stick to that one tank over there.
Yeah.
We can do the samples I brought in if you want, but I think figuring out that one tank, because that's really representative of the issue we have at hand. Let's start there. You want me to go grab a sample?
Yeah, let's grab some samples and test kit here.
I'm going to dump these guys back into here.
Yeah.
Here's a question. Do you think the scuds, here was another thing I realized. You know those, what are those little worms that were Plantera?
Yeah, the flatworms.
So we had these little worms for a while, right? And I'd read and I was concerned. They were like these little sluggy-looking things that would climb all over the walls. And I read they might be eating the shrimp. Some people were concerned about them. But I've noticed actually less of those. And I'm wondering if they also apparently eat snails, particularly baby snail eggs. I think they were controlling the snail populations. And I think they were doing more to predate on snails and less on shrimp. And I think, like, 'cause shrimp, you're just going to swim away, right? Like, yeah. And so I think that ironically, like, those were helpful to the shrimp populations, or surprisingly.
Because they were controlling the snails, and now there's a ton of snails.
Now there's tons of snails popping up. Those things are gone, but those things are still all over. So there's tons of snails and tons of those things in that tank at my house that I was mentioning. So but I do feel like that tank, just my feeling of it is like it's about to implode. It makes me worried.
I wonder if you just toss a cletus in there, it'll fix it.
That's an experiment. So at the end of this, we got to figure out what we're actually going to do to that tank in particular. And maybe we just accept, like, the question could be like, do we just accept that it's not
a shrimp tank?
Not a shrimp tank anymore. Maybe it's like ecological succession. All right, let me go grab some water.
Cool. I will read about which chemistry test we're going to do. So you have a pH test probe.
Yeah, you want me to test that stuff?
Yeah.
What should I grab a sample of, by the way?
I just want to use like green
Here you go, my man.
Thank you. All right. Do we want like a live view of some of the fish tanks while we run the chemistry?
Yeah, let me do that. What we can do is we could put this guy on as a green screen. Nope, it is frozen again. Okay. We are back again. Sorry about that, guys. Once again, I'm sorry about that. Here, JT, you want to make sure you're in this video? If you want to pull over, you want to sit right here?
Sure.
All right, so I'm going to set this up while JT's getting this.
Whoa.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Experiencing some technical difficulties.
We're sitting on the table.
Yes, this is really weird. Oh, wait, I see what I did wrong.
Oh, yeah.
One sec. I got to fix this part. Sorry, guys. Okay. Now you'll be able to see. All right, JT. I'm going to position this guy. Let's see. Which one should I do? Just right on there? Tell me. Yeah. Take the legs out. Is that good?
Yeah.
Not great?
Maybe a little bit
Closer? Yeah. How's that? Closer or? Okay. How's that? Is that okay or not great?
No, that's good.
Okay. You also put some video.
Yeah, so those are close-up shots of the animation.
Good also. Yeah, you know what we should be doing? Maybe we should be putting on the test.
Right now, we'll be doing the ammonia test. Basically, when the fish feed and stuff, it's going to present first as ammonia in the water, and then bacteria breaks it down into nitrite.
Thanks, Jeff. You're the man. Is that better?
Oh, yeah. Well, then no one heard about our ammonia.
Really?
So we're testing the ammonia now. When fish and shrimp pee or produce waste, it's going to present as ammonia until the bacteria have time to break it down into nitrate and nitrite. There's one of those worms that you were talking about floating across the screen.
So this is some old video from a long time ago. And this is now. Wait, no. That's not now. This is now. So it does, like, as a fish tank, it looks so much healthier in my opinion. But the shrimp don't feel that way. So that's before, and this is now. It's like a deep green. There's a clearness to the water, right? Like before there was like a little bit of a murkiness to it that I think really was feeding them.
Yeah.
Right?
And on the surface, there isn't as much duckweed.
Yes. Good point.
Like the whole surface here is covered in duckweed.
I'm gonna try to find some other guys. Look at this one. Like, look how. Oh. All right, let me go grab that other camera.
So now this one's gonna sit for 20 minutes. It's a long time.
Oh yeah. Okay. So we might need to come back to that guy.
Yep. And what's the other one? Let's do nitrate. How long does this one take?
What was the first one? Ammonia?
Ammonia.
I'm almost willing to guarantee there's not an ammonia issue in that tank.
Yep. This one is nitrate. Nitrite takes 2 minutes. Nitrate takes.
And you know what's funny? Like, to be honest, like I'd be more interested to know whether not nitrate. Like I'd almost be interested to see whether they can do well with high nitrates.
Yeah.
Because like that Cletus tank, I'm willing to bet the crayfish tank, the really dirty tank, I'm willing to bet is like higher in nitrates.
Do you want to see?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Let's do
I kind of do.
yeah.
I kind of do want to see. Or maybe we should just report back. I don't want to have people sitting too long.
Yeah, no, we can do other stuff because there's also that chemistry test where we can test the hardness and the carbonate levels.
Yep.
You have a pH probe.
I do.
What else do we want to look at?
I would say, I mean, we could definitely test that stuff, but let me ask you this. Let's just say the water conditions are perfect, right?
Yep.
And maybe we don't. We should do some testing. We can get back on that. But let's say if the water testing turns out to be perfect, right? And then what do we believe is going on, and what, based on, let's check the, what do we think is going on? It's the biofilm, it's the too much plants.
Yeah, because the odds of the nitrates being high and the ammonia or whatever with that much plant matter, unless it's breaking down and like suffocating them or becoming toxic in the water.
Yep.
You said you have a dissolved oxygen probe?
I do. I don't know how to use it though. I haven't used it in a long time, so that's probably not as helpful.
Do you have a EC probe and a pH probe?
I do.
Let's see what those say.
Okay. Let's go back to the phone then.
Because if the EC isn't high, then the nitrates and nitrates won't be high.
All right, let's go check that then. I think we need to switch back. All right, so let's pull out the probe. We got this here. You want to hold this guy for me? Let's check these. I'm curious to see, maybe what we should be doing, since we know one tank is doing really well and one tank is doing really poorly, let's compare the two. Ready?
Yeah.
So I'm going to take this probe right here. Oh, Mandy's calling. She might be telling us we're doing something wrong. All right, we're back. We're back. Sorry, guys. I need a new computer. Unfortunately, it's time. I guess computers only last 4 years now.
Yeah.
Lame. Video stuff requires it. So, all right. So pH prediction. What's your prediction on pH?
Neutral.
Neutral.
What's your guess, people out there?
People out there, you want?
Randy, what do you think the pH is going to be?
If I sing the Jeopardy theme song, will that help things? Oh. Okay. Man, he's saying it's really bad.
That's like Maggie.
Yeah. So you're right, JT. It's about 7. I don't know. Yeah, we gotta just. I think we gotta switch out.
Do you want to just use the laptop as a camera?
Yeah. Why don't we? We could also just end this and just switch. Do you want to just end it and just use my phone straight up?
Oh, yeah, we just try it from the phone.
Yeah. Make our lives easy. All right, we're gonna fix this.